Hello, my name is Robert Mercuri, and this is my personal opinions on the article Superior Subordinate Communication in the Workplace, Verbal Aggression, Nonverbal Immediacy, and Their Joint Effects on Perceived Superior Credibility by Joseph E. Lieberger, Andrew S. Ranker, and Yang Lin. The first thing I have to say on a more personal note is that I'm very appreciative of this article for not having too many large academic words so close to each other. Call me dumb all you want, but if you're putting more than three-syllable words next to each other, all that tells me is that you had a difficult relationship with your parents. Now, the title implies this article is about how a superior communicates and how that communication reflects upon their workers. And while with my limited experience in the workforce, I can safely say that many of the statements they made are completely accurate. A superior who is more angry, more prone to insults and harsher language towards their subordinates is likely to be perceived as less credible, less competent, and less trustworthy. In other amazing news, the sky continues to be blue. While I do appreciate them taking the scientific method on this, if you act like a jerk, people will be less likely to want to work for you, feels kind of obvious, for want of better terminology. The fact that they went through the amazing steps they did to narrow all of this down, specific elements of language, nonverbal and verbal language, to show what makes someone appear more credible and trustworthy in a managerial position is incredibly praiseworthy. Doing all of that work has to be respected, especially considering they went with both sexes and intermediary gender identities, a variety of different races, and generally approached it as a true blue scientific endeavor. That is respectable. Now, with terms of verbal communication, it's all verbal, obviously. Yeah, I know. Words aren't great, but it's all about how you present yourself, what words you use, how you talk, what you say versus what you mean to say. Because there are a lot of things you say without realizing you're saying them. Coded language, and part of the problem with coded language is the perception that they will see is different from what you were trying to say, which is something you need to bear in mind. If you're in a managerial position, you always have to keep in mind that you are in a superior position to your subordinates, and that colors things a bit. It's a common saying that you judge a man not by how he treats his equals, but by how he treats those he deems inferior. So, how a manager treats their subordinates, their workers, is how they generally are as a person. It is an unpleasant aspect of the human persona, but it's how things are. The nonverbal immediacy part of it is how they physically present themselves. Eye contact, how often they're blinking, their facial expressions, what they're doing with their hands, and so on and so forth. And with a calmer, more relaxed demeanor, a superior will seem more credible. My manager in my short time at a movie theater was simultaneously very laid back and very strict. She always presented herself as a woman who wanted to get the job done, and that led to me implicitly trusting her, even if I will admit I was a little scared of her. I'm not exactly a people person. But she never rose her voice, she never raised her voice. Leaving that in. She never raised her voice. She never used swear words, even when I made some pretty serious mistakes, some of which might actually have cost us inventory. But she recognized that I was new at the job and very anxious and prone to overcorrecting on my failures, but she kept calm, she explained what I did wrong and how to not do it again, and it was a very valuable learning experience. Ultimately, how you best appear credible and trustworthy as a manager is presenting yourself as a person who they can trust. Not like babying them, but ultimately, if you want to do something like that, that's your choice. If you want to present yourself as a true manager, you've got to manage. Understand that the people you're working with are prone to faults, but never blame them for them. As John Hammond said in Jurassic Park, I don't blame people for their mistakes, but I do ask that they pay for them. Same basic mindset. And this article is basically a validation for that entire mindset. The idea that the harsher and more crude you are with your employees, the less likely they will be to view you as an effective manager. Takes a firm hand, but also a gentle one. A velvet fist as opposed to an iron fist or a velvet glove. I didn't exactly want this to be my first video on YouTube, but I want to... I can edit this later, I think.